Rolling.
You can give Mark a second here to get situated.
Thank you.
Or not, you know. Alright, good luck, everyone.
All right, fun.
Hello and welcome to another Team Draft LA Dusmourn season. Pack one, pick one. Got a nice little rare with Kaito Bane of Nightmares. Hadn't gotten to play with him yet in the set at this point, so also just personally excited about the opportunity. In addition to opening a sweet rare, and not much else to even consider there, so let's ship it. Just a nice combination of flexible casting, rebuying ET beads, potentially a threatening body, some value, and interaction. Just kind of does it all. Pick two, we see the Defiled Crypt Cadaver Lab, which I would also be pretty interested in playing if, for example, I ended up going straight down a Dimir control recursion sort of route. But I think the Bookworm is the clear best card in this pack, and something I'm excited to play and not excited to pass. So a couple other solid playables in that pack. I think there was a Ticket Booth, Moldering Gem, but Bookworm, again, something that I love to play. And I was talking to Rob, my teammate, before this draft about Kaito specifically and how it often is just played on the splash. And so that's something that I'm certainly willing to do. Pack one, pick three, we get past the Nashi though. And for a second I get kind of excited to be like, ooh, is this the time? Is it time to just go straight to Mir? And I see the threats around every corner. I'm like, oh, no, that's probably too good to pass as well. Especially after getting past a Bookworm. That's just a pretty clear sign that Simic Manifest is going to be pretty open. I'm not super thrilled about passing this Surgical Suite Hospital Room. Very strong, aggressive white card, but I do love threats around every corner. Just kind of leaves the avenues pretty open. Helps me splash the Kaito as well. Pick four. There's a Most Valuable Slayer. There's a rare duel. Cheerleader Bear Trap, but pretty clear manifest right here after taking Bookworm into threats around every corner. It just turns on both of my other sweet uncommons. And I'm feeling pretty comfortable at this point. I'm being sent pretty clear signals. I am passing some, decent Boros-y aggressive cards to my left, so that's something to be aware of for sure. And right off the top, Patchwork Beastie, Lakeside Shack. There's another Ticket Booth, but I had quite enough. I had my fill of Ticket Booths in last week's draft. Patchwork Beastie is just feels like another perfect addition to the Simic deck that I'm starting here. 1 mana 3/3 that gets Delirium going. Of course, I don't have anything that specifically cares about Delirium at this point, but I feel like it would be kind of hard to end up in a deck that doesn't, in a green deck that doesn't care about it at all, you know. Yeah, and even with very little other delirium, I think the Beastie is almost just still good enough. And the Manifest Dread, Threats Around Every Corner, and Bookworm all help turn it on as well and turn it into something closer to an actual 1-mana 3/3. Pick 6, we see a Rootwise Survivor, Balgavoth's Faithful, Grimoire, which is basically unplayable, Cryptid Inspector, which could be playable in my deck. But I think the Rootwise Survivor is, you know, kind of just a threat that can come down out of nowhere and steal games every now and then. So definitely worth considering running at the very least. Pick 7, we see a Strangled Cemetery, which could definitely help with a Kaito Splash, another Manifest Dread, some blue enchantment or eerie kind of stuff, but at this point I'm thinking, you know, Manifest Dread once again is amazingly synergistic with all my other cards and is actually sort of fixing with the threats around every corner, so I don't feel as much of a need to take the Golgari Duel there. And then I pick up the Moldering Gem on the Wheel, which is just, you know, perfectly fine in my deck, but also another just clear signal that my lane is pretty open. And another source of fixing for Kaito. So I'm feeling pretty confident that I'm going to be able to play all my cards at this point. Pick 9 here, we see very little in the way of like strong playables, and then another Manifest Dread, which is great for me. Pick 10 is where it finally starts to dry up. A couple of okay white cards. But the Bear Trap will occasionally make a Delirium focus deck, just as an additional artifact. Also notable that Kaito being a Planeswalker is an extra source of Delirium that is usually unavailable in the Planeswalker type. Pick 12. Yeah, Grimoire is pretty much unplayable, so I'm fine shipping that. Coming to the end of pack 1 here. Just going to grab the Peeper here, I think. Found footage again, like the Bear Trap, can be a Delirium source, but it's not even something that I'm really in the market for. So I have lots of pretty premium Sultai cards in my pile. Going into pack 2, my main focus is going to be filling up on interaction, which I have basically none of at this point. Pack 2, pick 1, we see the Restricted Office Lecture Hall as our rare. Not something I'm really interested in playing. See another Threats Around Every Corner, Bottomless Pool, Locker Room, which I'm a big fan of, Scorching Dragonfire, which gets pulled to the front here just because, like I said, I am pretty interested in fixing, or I'm pretty interested in removal, and I am well on my way to having the fixing just sort of splash whatever removal I need. But I decide that that's that a second Threats Around Every Corner is really just going to tie the room together too well. I am heavy green at this point, green focused, and don't really have, as much as I love the bottomless pool, I'm not really super combat focused. So it's not going to be at its absolute peak. So just take the threats. Pick 2, we see a Say Its Name, Fear of Burning Alive, Withering Torment, and a Brood Spinner. It's a very powerful pack. Monstrous Emergence there as well. Yeah, like I said, the thing that I'm most worried about my lack of at this point is removal. So as much as, a Say Its Name would be fairly desirable for me at this point, and I do really love a Brood Spinner. I think it's too important to not to pass up on the Withering Torment this time around. Pick 3, another Manifest Dread, Drag to the Roots, and kind of a bunch of blanks other than that, so pretty clear Drag to the Roots. And all of a sudden I'm feeling, one, that my wishes are coming true here. I've picked up another source of fixing and 2 pretty premium black removal spells. But also I could be leaning towards black as my second color and blue as the splash. So something to keep an eye on. Another Moldering Gem, a Beastie Beatdown, which is another nice interaction spell, but also a 4th color. And yeah, with the last thought being that I might be heading deeper into black here, the Liver Die seems perfect for me as a sort of a modal removal or revival spell. Don't have really anything. I really don't have anything to get back with it at this point, but I have all sorts of ways to get things into the graveyard, and hoping that the big bodies will come naturally. So the Megalodon is certainly a big body, but it's also in, it's a double pipped blue card. And at this point I'm looking to play, I have exactly 2 blue pips that I'm looking to play. And I feel like Rite of the Moth could be potentially worth splashing for here, because I'm so well set up to fill my graveyard. Just everything else I have basically puts stuff into my graveyard. So I just sort of need the big bodies to put in there, and then both Liver Die and Rite of the Moth become pretty premium. Pick 6 here is kind of a blank. There's a black-red duel, but I feel pretty confident that I'm not playing red at this point. So the Cracked Skull could potentially make the deck. Commune with Evil is fine, but again, I'm not really hurting for ways to fill the graveyard, so don't think it's really necessary. Pick 7, we see the Glimmerlight on the wheel, which I'm fairly happy to see. It's just a good colorless 2-drop. It's going to be just fine in my deck. Not amazing. But turning my Manifest into 3/3s is certainly not nothing. Pick 8, we see Say Its Name and Monstrous Emergence on the wheel here. But once again, I'm not lacking for ways to fill the graveyard, and I also don't have my creature count. My actual creature count is pretty low. Most of my creatures are like manifests. And here we just go ahead and pick up another one. So the Sate's name doesn't actually have that many targets, unfortunately. So I'm just going to take another removal spell. Once again, that was sort of my goal going into pack 2, was to find ways to interact. And then another Moldering Gem on the wheel. It's just really solidifying me in as close to mono green, and making me feel confident that I'm going to be able to play whatever blue and black cards I want at this point. Big 12, I think the Infernal Phantom can be kind of annoying to deal with sometimes. So just going to hate that. Fanatic that I'm unlikely to play. And wrapping up pack 2 here, I'm feeling really good. Got exactly what I was looking for with a bunch of nice interaction. A little bit more fixing. My curve is looking pretty good. Beastie, bunch of Manifest Dreads, 4 it looks like. Threats around every corner, and Kaito for value. And a potential little Reanimator package that we're going to have to see how that pans out. All right, pack 3. Well, can't really ask for much more than that. Algabas Onslaught, the likely best card in the set. Eminently splashable in most decks, but at an absolute premium in my deck. So there's like literally not a better card I could have opened in the set, I think. Now I've got the curve and the interaction and the value and the bombs. It's just like, don't really know what else I could possibly ask for at this point. It's just turning out to be certainly my strongest team draft deck of the set, if not just strongest overall. It's another Nashi for the Dimir deck that could have been, but pretty happy to see Final Vengeance here. Just another premium way to interact. I'm not the best at sacrificing things, but I do have 2 Moldering Gems and 2 Threats around every corner. Glimmerlight. Enough things to sack to the Final Vengeance, I think. See a Terramorphic Expanse, which I would be pretty interested in. Slavering Branch Snapper. And the Shroud Stomper. So as it turns out, the Branch Snapper would have made my deck where this Shroud Stomper wouldn't have. But here I'm thinking, like, those are both kind of fulfilling my reanimation needs, and Shroud Stomper is just the stronger of the two in general. So just kind of unfortunate that they were both in the same pack there. Pick 4, we got a Wary Watchdog, Cryptid Inspector, which would both be fine for me, but I think my curve is already pretty strong. So I'm more interested in just taking the better card here in the Meat Locker Drowned Diner. Pick 5, Kona is not something I'm worried about. It's another Ride of the Moth. but the player to my left passed me the first one, so I'm not particularly worried that they're Reanimator at this point. But it does feel likely that they're in some sort of white proactive deck, so hating the split skin doll actually made the most sense to me here. Pick 6. See another restricted office, lecture hall, a couple of bashful beasties. But having just taken the Shroud Stomper, I'm like kind of interested in seeing if I can play it, so I'm going to take the white duel there. Skullcap Nuisance might have been playable in my deck. Winter's Intervention would be fine, but it's not like enough of a premium removal spell. Just taking a look at my my build there so far. It is feeling like that I'm basically mono green and kind of splashing blue and black. So with that in mind, I'm just going to take another old green 2-drop there to help smooth things out. Another Rootwise Survivor, a very surprising Skin Ripper on the wheel here. Clearly, there was no Rakdos deck at the table. Not anything super exciting for me here, but I do feel that if ever there were a Chandelier deck in this format, that I might have it, so I'm going to go ahead and take it. Coming up to the end of the draft here, Grasping Longneck can be playable or sideboarded into having the 2 card types could be helpful for what little Delirium stuff I have. Both Psychic Watchdog and an Inspector on the wheel here. Inspector actively seems good in my quadruple Manifest Dread Valgavoth Onslaught deck. Here we can pretty much guarantee that no one else is doing Reanimator, so I'm just going to hate a white flyer. With that in mind, like maybe I should take the Bedhead Beastie here, but I'm also still thinking like, well, maybe I'm like trying to reanimate the Shroud Stomper, so Beastie is not something that's very hate pickable. Here's a look at the builds. Like I said, close to mono green. I didn't end up playing the white stuff, so just mono green Sultai. This is Rob's really sweet blue-white enchantments build with Nico, which did a lot of heavy lifting. And here's Alex's Is It Rooms with Blue Overlord. Pretty nice. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know what you think. Shroud Stomper right here.